On a sunny Sunday, what is better than an Italian homely comforting food, which is perfect for a lazy afternoon feast with the family, than braciole?
Or braciole, as it's called in English.
Stay tuned.
For this dish, we're going to use the bullet mussel from one of our recent episodes with the beef knuckle.
See link below how to dismember that baby.
Exactly, that was fun. I like slaughtering things, you know. You see here, the grain is running this way on this piece of meat. Then we want to cut against the grain, and we want to cut it into some thin steaks. So let me cut off the end here. We are not going to waste that, of course. So like maybe a centimeter, something like that. That looks good to me. And after that, we want to pound them out. We're using a Ziploc bag that we have cut open and placed it in the middle, and then use a meat mallet. If you don't have one of these, then use a flat bottom pot, heavy pot, cast iron. Until you have a thickness about that. I don't know how much is that. Less than half a centimeter?
Yeah, maybe.
And then we continue with next. All pounded out. So now we're going to set these aside, and then we can move on with our stuffing. We have lined up a lot of nice flavors here. We start with 100 grams of breadcrumbs. This is Panko. You can use whatever breadcrumb you prefer. And then grated Parmesan, 50 grams of that, or about the same volume as your breadcrumbs. And then we're gonna mince in a whole clove of garlic. There we go. Nice. We have the zest of one whole lemon, and that smells amazing. The juice of the same lemon. And we're gonna give it, I would say, half a tablespoon of freshly ground black pepper. We'll save the rest for tasting. And then we're going to go in also with, how much was this? 50 grams of roasted pine seeds. They're excellent. And then a good squeeze of olive oil. I don't know the exact measurement. It goes by texture. I'll show you. So, and we mix all this in. We want to create sort of a crumbly paste. We don't want it wet, but we don't want it either to be like too dry, because then it will fall off. So a little bit more oil, I would say, like that. Yeah, that looks good to me. So we have like texture like between wet and dry. I don't know what you call that, but this is the texture you're looking at. Mushy, yeah, okay, let's go with that. But that's ready, so let's move on with our meat. I prearranged some butcher's twine here on my cutting board. I'm gonna take 2 pieces of our beef, place it like this, move it a little bit like that. Then we start out with our nice breadcrumb parmesan paste here in a nice, not too thick layer. Don't overdo this. You want to have, like, you can see, I don't know how much this is, but a couple of tablespoons. Oh, this smells so good with the lemon and the garlic. This is gonna be fantastic.
That's very Mediterranean.
Then I want to go in with some provolone. I've cut it into batons here. If you get thin slices, you can of course lay a whole slice, but these were a little bit thick, so I don't want that much cheese, you know. So, on with those. And then we finish off with prosciutto. That looks really amazing. This is gonna be so good. A little bit of prosciutto.
That seems very interesting combination of
There's a lot of flavors in this. There's a lot of flavors in this.
To be honest, I've never tried it before. Have you, in a restaurant?
In a restaurant, yes. I never tried to make it before, so this is my first time.
You're a virgin.
Yeah, let's go with that. And then we want to roll this up pretty tightly, because once we get them in the pan, they will shrink up a little bit. You can also make these smaller if you want to, but now we're going with a little bit bigger size here, so they can be shared. Butcher's knot. And as I said, keep it tight, because once we start frying, they will shrink a little bit, and we don't want them to fall apart. It's a beautiful roll of goodness. Same story here. And I'm going to cut these off, and then we move on with the rest.
10 more to go.
10 more to go. First, we have to get a good sear on our meat. Have cast iron Dutch oven running here, medium high. And we're going to use some avocado oil here because it has a high smoke point. So I would say a couple of tablespoons. So we have some good oil there. And then we take our meat. We get that in for a sear. Same as always, don't overcrowd the pot. It needs to sear, not boil. So like that. And when you get to here, you flip them around and let them do the same on the other side. Beautiful. When the last ones are nice and brown, we take them out so we can continue with our sauce. We give the pot a little bit more oil here, and then we're going to go in with one large red onion chopped. You could use white onion, you could use yellow onion, but now we chose to go with a red one today. Now we just want to let that get translucent. When we start to get some color on the onion, we're going to create space here in the middle, and then we're going to take a couple of cloves of garlic here, like that, and we let that become fragrant. And when that starts smelling really good, then we're going to mix it in, and then we're going to go in with 150 milliliter of red wine to deglaze the pan. We want to use that to lift up all the fond from the bottom there that we created when searing. So give it a good scrape. When the alcohol has evaporated and all the fond has been lifted, then we're going to go in with half a liter of homemade beef broth and 3 cans of chopped tomatoes. Go. And while that comes up to a simmer, whatever you have leftover stuffing, put that in the sauce, because that's just going to add extra flavor to this. When it starts to simmer, then we're going to season it with salt and pepper. I would say a tablespoon of sea salt for now, and then we taste the sauce a little bit later just to see where we are. I don't want to oversalt it. Tablespoon or half a tablespoon of freshly ground black pepper. Stir that in. And finally, we are going to nestle back in our meat into the sauce like this, with the brown side upwards. This is gonna be so good.
It smells quite interesting, actually.
It already smells very good. And don't forget everything left on the pan here, that goes back in, because that's just flavor. And now we want to close this up, and then we let it simmer on low for the foreseeable future. 1.5 hours, and let's give this a peek here, see what we're doing. Let me get that down. Oh, that smells amazing. Let me just see how we're doing with the meat here. Yeah, that's fork tender, so we're definitely there with the meat. That's perfect. But let me give it a taste now, the sauce, just to make sure we have enough salt. Close, but they need a little bit of salt.
Close, but no cigar.
Close, but no cigar. I would say teaspoon of salt. I don't want to over salt it, but needs a little bit more. And then the last thing here we're going to add is some freshly chopped basil. That will give nice flavor, but you don't want to add that until the last 5 minutes or so, because that will just overcook, and we want that fresh basil flavor in our sauce there. So like that, stir it in, and then we give it 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready to serve.
That's an excellent Sunday meal.
Yeah. Let's not judge until we taste it.
Well, by the smell, it is. So
Let's give it a shot here. I don't know if you can see the cross section here, but that's just beautiful with cheese, prosciutto, excellent.
And with pasta, I mean, you need not linguine or, spaghetti, but any kind of orzo or even
Penne, rigatoni.
Even rice.
But the meat is perfect. It is fall apart tender, not dry, and with the prosciutto, the pine nuts, the little...
It's very interesting combination and still very fresh. It's not heavy,
No.
because of the lemon and the lemon zest and everything. I thought it would be more heavy because of all the cheese and everything, but it's excellent. It's fantastic. Cheers.
Give it a shot.